Kurt Gowdy State Park is located about half distance between Laramie on the west and Cheyenne on the east. So I got up very early on Tuesday morning, packed everything up, and started headed off to Cheyenne. And it kills me how the landscape just continues to change, even in short periods of time. So took about an hour to get over there, and rolled into town maybe just a little too early. But a lot of the things that I wanted to see were closed. But still, it was a nice ride coming over. Well, I got to Cheyenne pretty early in the morning, and that was nice because I didn't have to deal with the traffic. I was trying to find a park, and in one of the parks in the downtown area, they have one of the six remaining big boy steam locomotives. These are the largest steam locomotives ever manufactured. Union Pacific had them made for one of their routes. Oh, I'm trying to remember the name of it, but Sherman Hill, and which was there it is. You see it on the right. It's just a mammoth thing. It's known as Big Boy because legend has it that one of the workers at the Alcoa Locomotive Works was working in the smoke box one day, and when they were building the first one, and he took out a piece of chalk and just wrote on the smoke box door, uh, "Big Boy," and apparently the name stuck. So, like I said, there were 25 originally. There's only about six of them left. One of them's in St. Louis, not far from where I live, and this is one of the other ones. But recently, they went out to Pomona, California, I believe, where there was one sitting out there that they had to lay some track to get to it because it was also in a museum. And they moved the thing out and they brought it back here to Cheyenne, and it's being rebuilt, and they're going to run the darn thing. Apparently, some very wealthy guy put up $25 million to refurbish that locomotive. And if I'm still breathing when that thing's done, it's about 4 more years from now. That will be another motorcycle trip because I will chase that thing everywhere. Look at that thing; it's gigantic. Rumor has it that some of these were filled with they filled the boilers with cement to keep them from corroding, which would of course permanently disable them. But the one in Pomona was not that way. This is the Cheyenne, Wyoming downtown train station, which has been there since the 1800s, and typical of train stations of the day, is just a beautiful facility. But once again, I got here just a little too early. There's a museum in there, and but it was closed. And if in order for me to get across Nebraska in one day, I really couldn't wait around till 10 o'clock when it opened up. But at least in this flyby here, you get a good idea of what this place looked like back in the day. It was beautifully preserved. you know, I got down to the end of the building here and turned into a parking lot. And as I make the turn, off in the distance, just on the other side of the fence, well, there's a glimpse of it right there. There's a building, and that is the old roundhouse that they had built for the big boy locomotives. And that's where the 844 is. If you've watched some of my videos, you've probably seen the video of the 844 when it came through St. Louis. But inside that building is that other big boy, um, and it's currently under restoration. And unfortunately, that was closed too. I would have loved to have gone over there and gotten a close-up look at the project as they're working on it. Anyway, from there it was off to Nebraska, and not a lot of interesting things in Nebraska. But hey, I'm Irish, and when you see the world's largest potato on a tractor trailer, you got to film that. But anyway, it's pretty dull. If you've seen the first 3 miles of Nebraska, you've seen them all. I spent the night at Matt and Robin Phillips' house in Lincoln, Nebraska, and the next morning I got up and found myself in quite a bit of fog. This is the last day of the trip, and I was getting kind of tired. We were up late. I don't know why, but anyway, I turned on my GPS and set it for St. Louis, and just started following it. I'm sorry, did I say GPS? My iPhone. And it took me down this road. And the farther I went, the thicker the fog got. But that wasn't the only surprise. Stay with me on this. This fog was getting so thick I had to lift up the visor, and I couldn't see through a dark visor. And in the middle, if you listen to this carefully on the soundtrack, you'll notice I'm talking to somebody. I got a phone call from my son very early in the morning, and then here all of a sudden, I run out of pavement. And I guess one more off-road for the trip. But I wasn't expecting this. I don't know if this is permanently a dirt road or if they had taken up the old surface, but it went on and on and on. And quite honestly, I had no idea where I was. I think I got a little bit sideways with my iPhone and had it set to avoid highways. And this is what happens when you avoid highways. So yeah, it took me quite a few hours to get out of this fog and on towards St. Louis. I did stop in um, at a little place called Marceline, Missouri, and there they have a museum at the train station there. Marceline, Missouri is the boyhood home of Walt Disney. You might have caught a picture of it in the first episode because I stopped there on the way out to Colorado, but I got there too early in the morning there too, so the museum was closed. But I stopped in this time and paid my $10 to take the tour. And at first I thought, I'm getting snookered here. You know, this is a tourist trap. This older lady came out and started talking about Walt Disney, and the first thing out of her mouth was that Disney only lived there for about 4 years. But then it got more and more interesting because Walt Disney and his brother Roy came back and helped dedicate a pool that was named after them, and they started putting money into the town. And this woman had the only house in town that had central air conditioning. Nobody else had air conditioning. But her furniture was outdated and not in good shape. So they scoured the town to get the best furniture out of all the houses. They moved it into this woman's house so that Roy and Walt Disney and their wives could stay with them while they were there. And it wound up being a very interesting kind of human interest story. So if you're ever in Marceline, Missouri, uh, I highly recommend you stop by the train station there. It's kind of neat.
how it's healing. It was best to use that to get back going and go any further. Anyway, you still with me? Ian?
Well, we're coming to the end of this video and the end of the series, and thank you so much if you bothered to take the time to watch these. I hope you enjoyed them. I'm starting to work on editing the footage from my trip down to the North Carolina-Tennessee border and the tail of the dragon. Spent about 3 days down there with some great guys, and we discovered this: you can't find a bad road in that area. We really had a lot of fun. So anyway, I hope you enjoyed it. See you next time.